I'm not saying that watching TV is bad or a waste of your time any more than like masturbation is bad or a waste of your time. It's a pleasurable way to spend a few minutes. But if you're doing it 20 times a day, yes, you're performing muscular movement. That's what you're doing with your hands, sure, when you're jerking off. But what you're really doing, I think, is you're running a movie in your head. You're having a fantasy relationship with someone who is not real, strictly to stimulate a neurological response. So look, as the internet grows in the next 10, 15 years, we're going to have to develop some real machinery inside our guts to turn off pure, unalloyed pleasure. Or I don't know about you, but I'm going to have to leave this planet. The technology is just going to get better and better and more convenient and more pleasurable. To sit alone with images on a screen given to us by people who do not love us, but want our money. And that's fine in low doses. But if it's the basic main staple of your diet, you're going to die. In a very meaningful way, you're going to die. These are the words of writer David Foster Wallace, an author of the Goliath work that is Infinite Jest. I won't pretend I would ever consider reading a 3-pound book, one where a single sentence takes up 3 whole pages. Every artist has their flair. In today's work, I'd like to look at what I consider to be a truly tortured writer who got too disconnected from the world and lost within his own enclosing mind. Welcome or welcome back. I'm Man Needs a Code, with a kind reminder not to let anyone tell you what to like or sub to. I know no truer words on writing than this. Writers write. And old Davy Boy was worthy of that wording. You dabble too much in the dark, though, well, the abyss remains undefeated at the old eye-to-eye stare-down. I've listened to a lot of his more digestible works, and from what I hear in his voice as a writer, is a man too lost in the dark to remember that we wouldn't even call it that if it were not for the light. As I listened to him, I watched every interview I could find and have an idea of where the performer and the writer within him really met. He was a far more introverted type than your typical. But typical was never Dave's bag. In a radio interview in Minnesota, he was quoted his own words back at him, that he was a combination of being incredibly shy and also being an egomaniac too. He corrected, "I believe I said exhibitionist as well." He continued, "But that is what makes it difficult for him to be around people." The DJ inquired if he meant for him or the other people. Both. There's a great commencement speech, but I'll let you find that one on your own journey. I believe to my bones that the man wrote to what we call the higher ideal. I believe he wrote as many a writer do. He wrote so he could hear someone read his work, to hear his voice, to test it for truth. It was not decadent parable of the past, although I would contend that it was not simply that, but we'll call it a Venn diagram here. In 1996, Rolling Stone sent a reporter to interview Foster Wallace on the last leg of his tour. One quote, "It's like an existential dread that you feel way down in your butthole." I would add, the whole of the soul. Movie recommendation, The End of the Tour. Writer-on-writer angle might be a little bit niche, but it's a great movie. Full stop. He struggled with addiction, as many a writer have and will. I would have loved to have done a Dry July episode, but a bad moon did rise the other night. And this is just a blogger being honest with his audience. In the interest of furthering the good, I will commit to this. I will tell you the next time I do, but I do not lie on my work. I will never understand any who do. The greatest shield against critique is that it is yours, and that you mean what you write. Lingering lessons learned like love, lust, and lived life. I have hope because it is the only benefit that has no cost. A defiant fight against the loss of will, a reminder that the word will outlive the writer. Fun fact, he adopted this little bandana thing because while typing in Arizona, kind of hot, long hair, he was worried his electric typewriter might shock him. Words will outlive the writer. Also the editor. Infinite Jest had another 600 or so pages that had to basically pull teeth to get them cut. Dave did have a bit of a bite to him. Well, that about wraps up this one. Thank you for your time. As always, get good rest. Remember to hydrate. Consume something green if you can. Make good choices. And don't die. The more unconnected we get to who we truly are, the more the prodigal son becomes not a chapter, but the final one.